Coming up, we're back in the inbox.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Oh, hello, Shaun Priest. How are you today?
I am fantastic, thank you, Stephen. How are you?
Are you? You just sound it.
I must admit, I am getting a little bit tired, but no, I am upbeat as ever.
Tired of what? The show? Our audience? How dare you?
Don't try and throw me under the bus. No, never.
Beep,
No,
beep.
not a bit of it. Gotta say, we're getting through this feedback now. It feels like, we're shoveling through those mound of letters that are coming in.
Yeah, that's an apt phrase, I think. And this maybe leads to your, let's just say your mood today.
Mood?
Yeah, because, look, when I called you earlier to say, look, hey, let's do this thing, you weren't quite as upbeat, and I was a bit concerned about you. And then I heard the phrase that you're getting some construction done.
Right. So It's so funny. You get someone in to do some work, and the first time they meet you, it's all, oh, how you blind. Oh, how do you do it? Oh, wow. Yeah. And of course. Oh, watch yourself there. Give it a day or two, and that's it. Everything's, no, sorry, all bets are off. Everything is left all over the floor. I just got told you can't walk over this area because it's setting. So don't walk over here. You have to walk over the... I have no idea. I got walk over the grass. Okay, no problem. So they all left. I just walked over the grass to get into the shed, and it's full of plants and benches, and it's like there's no way through. It was like an obstacle course I just had to go through. It feels like I'm in the Marines or something now. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's exactly like that, Shaun. Yeah, it's just like being in the Marines. Any Marines who are listening, I apologise on behalf of Shaun Priest.
I had to crawl under a garden bench. I know your pain.
It's just like Dunkirk. Is that right? Dunkirk? Sorry, my war references aren't the best. Anyway, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Shaun's here, sort of happy. You found salvation in the shed. That's the key, right? Salvation is always in the shed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the feedback because we've got plenty of it today. Shall we dive in? Let's do it.
Oh,
email.
That's low.
It was a little bit low.
We get your email every day.
We could fix it in the edit, right?
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Oh wait, we don't edit.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Somebody said that to me the other day. Oh, so how much editing do you do for your program? have you actually heard this thing? Do you listen to the show? Is any actual editing going on here?
Should we be proud of that fact, or should we hide that fact? Because
I don't think there's any point trying to hide that fact. I think that's the point. I mean, look, if you thought this was edited, then we are either doing really well or really bad. I don't know which one it is.
When we used to be a weekly show, I used to spend ages doing the edit.
I know.
And now we're every day.
We used to take...
And I don't.
You actually did. You took hours on the edit. Remember we used to finesse? We'd take time over like individual tracks and make sure that silence is... No, it's just like... Look,
silence everything.
You know what?
Where someone
daily.
wasn't talking.
It's the content is king, as I keep saying. Okay. Or here, it's, acceptable.
But luckily enough, we've got feedback.
Mr. F.
Yeah. God bless you, sir.
He's on his holidays at the minute, so I think we're all right, actually. We're doing okay. He's on his holidays. He's continuing his holidays, enjoying the world.
Where is he now?
Oh, he's always travelling. He's always away somewhere with his funny little hat on.
What hat?
He wears a hat.
Mr. F wears a hat?
He does. He's like a proper international man of mystery. He's like Indiana Jones.
Is it that kind of hat? Is it a fedora?
I don't know. It's a hat. Hat.
Okay.
Fez. I don't know.
I'll send him an email. We'll find out. Breaking news. Stay tuned.
Mr. F wears hats.
There's the episode title.
We'll sing for money. Yeah. Look, let's get into the emails because we've plenty of them. And we're going to kick off with Negative Julian, who's back. Now, is he talking sunglasses today? Let's find out.
Hello guys, Negative Julian here yet again, but this time in helpful mode.
Oh.
Don't worry, it won't last. In your episode for Friday 21st of March, Dave from Ontario asked for advice about any apps that would allow him to walk with a sighted person, laying down waypoints as he goes so that he can then retrace the route on his own. Well, I think on the Android side, I can help with this. Some years ago, I tried out an app called DotWalker. That's DotWalker, 2 words. And I'm pretty sure it does exactly what Dave wants. It calls itself DotWalker because it refers to laying down dots, but it's really talking about laying down waypoints on a route. I've just checked, and it is still available in the Play Store, and it does come in a free version. There is an enhanced version that he can pay for if he wants. I'm not sure of the current price. Full disclosure, when I tried it, I thought it was a bit over complex, and I didn't really get on with it. But that was several years ago, and they may well have improved it. Plus, I wasn't really highly motivated to put in the effort to learn it, so Dave may well fare much better. Now, I'm going to try to take you to the Play Store so you can hear the description of the app. Bear with me.
Overview. Moto App Launcher. Easy. Google Play Store. Google Play Store. Independence and fun on travel for the visually impaired. DotWalker is a travel assistant application primarily designed for blind and visually impaired users, but it also enables eyes-free control for all who like it. This application provides navigation by handling a set of discrete points. Each point can be approached using several modes of control: selected point, nearest point, point on route. Next, you can use a talking compass. Routes can be created on the move simply by shaking the device. Point of interest can be enhanced by audio record or linked with text file or web page. Special approach mode directs you to the desired point by announcing direction and distance. For each point can be added audio street view. Application is easy to use by 2 or 3 finger swipes that can be configured to launch desired function. This is free application. Many exciting features are available in DotWalker Pro. For example, voice commands, navigation direction and map downloads and address announcement. For more, see product website. Overview. Moto App Launcher. Easy Voice Recorder Pro.
Well, there you go. I hope you heard that and that it is of some use to Dave. Bye for now from Negative Julian.
Okay, thank you for that, Negative Julian. Appreciate that. Again, it's great to get help on this because, there are so many apps out there, but I think the key, and especially navigation apps, but I think the key is that he's looking for the ability to drop those breadcrumbs. So that's pretty cool. Some cool stuff there.
Why?
Delilah.
Oh, why? Isn't this quite a simple concept? Look, I'm not a coder. I have no idea. I don't want to say, oh, this is so easy to do. Isn't this quite an easy concept to get, though? Dropping breadcrumbs and then being able to follow those breadcrumbs back afterwards, setting a route, basically. Yeah, it seems like it's not... there's no app that immediately springs to mind. I'm a bit confused by this because, obviously Soundscape, Voice Vista, you can set markers and beacons. It's kind of the same thing, right? And you can also then do routes to the next, to certain beacons, and it will automatically switch through. But I don't know. I just think there should be a nice, simple interface where you just open an app, drop a breadcrumb here, and then, hey, take me back home. Even just a couple of buttons.
Yep.
But yeah, we also got another some more suggestions on the same thing, and again, it was referring to Android apps. Maybe Android's the way to go for this.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll get that on soon. But let's go to Rebecca. Rebecca has some thoughts and some comments following our CSUN episodes.
I loved your first episode from CSUN this week, but I have one complaint. Marty was asked why he waited so long to participate in CSUN. There are areas in the US where transportation is so bad that even a simple trip can be expensive. Even a 2-hour trip can be too expensive for some.
Okay, fair point. I raised the question only because, if I'm honest, I am like a typical British person, right? To me, if you travel, a distance is next to nothing, right? You travel 50 minutes, you're in a whole new city. Whereas, in certain parts of America and Canada, you could travel for 50 minutes and still be in the same town.
Yes.
You could probably travel for 11 hours probably and still be in the same place. So obviously there's a difference in scale and size, and that's one aspect of it. But you do generally assume, or at least wonder, if people who live near, and Marty does live fairly near to where CSUN happens, that he might go along. So I think it was a fair question, actually.
Well, it depends.
I'm putting it out there.
perception of fairly near is. I don't know. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think it was just more of a throwaway question. Not to criticize you, Stephen Scott, but it was definitely just a throwaway question.
Yeah. I want to go to Tom. Thank you, Rebecca. Tom got in touch as well with a question regarding the Meta glasses.
Yes, my name's Tom from Michigan, and there is a major flaw with the new configuration for the iPhone for the Meta glasses. When it comes to deleting history, you can only do them one at a time, and I wish they'd fix it so you could delete all the history at once. And that's my major concern. I wish we could go to Meta and have them fix that. You take care, both of you. Have a good day. This is Tom. Bye.
Thanks, Tom. You take care too. And thanks for the message. I must admit, I haven't tried to delete my history. I never really bother too much with that. Maybe I should.
So I believe that's the AI history. So when you ask a question of your AI, you can now see all those questions and the responses in history. And you're absolutely right, Tom. I remember when that was first introduced, and I need to go through, you think of how many questions you ask it during the day. So yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, there's been some big changes and some updates to the Meta app, so the Meta View app, I should say. So I don't know if that has changed, considering when we got that email in. So maybe that has changed. But yeah, I would agree with you as well. Always have the option to select all and delete.
Yeah, or actually get into individuals. Because look, sometimes it picks up on things. I hear mine pop, every so often you hear the sound and you think you've heard something there. Like when Lady A does that, she hears or thinks she hears her name. And you've said something else, and you think, "Oh, I wish I could go in and maybe delete that specific thing." Because I do want to keep my history there, because it's partly about the device getting to know you, getting to know your voice, getting to understand you more. And I think I remember back at the beginning with Lady A, if you deleted your history all the time, all your questions essentially, that it wouldn't function the same way. I mean, ultimately, if we're being brutally honest about it, that's kind of how Siri works, right? It doesn't really record or keep anything, and therefore that's why it is, it's not as smart.
Well, it's also nice if you want to go through and, you might want to copy some of the responses from the AI because it's speaking in your ears. Well, if you want to, email something on an answer to a question, you can go in there and copy the text. So, there's definitely a reason for it to be there.
Okay, moving on. Thank you, Tom. I want to move on to Andy, who has a question for us.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. Hope you're well. This is Andy from Essex. And my question is really, is now the right time to leave Apple? I've loved my Apple products over the years. I currently use an iPhone 14, but I'm finding it really quite laggy now with using VoiceOver. I'm eyeing up the Google Pixel Pro 9, which comes in at exactly the same price as the iPhone 16 Pro, except that Google throw in a whole year's worth of Gemini advanced access at the moment. And I'm quite into AI and trying to use it for different things, and obviously Apple have kind of dropped the ball a bit on this one. So I'm a bit worried about leaving Apple and all the ecosystem, but I wonder, is now the time to move? I think there's lots of opportunities with Google and the other devices, and I'm really worried this could be the end of Apple in some ways if they don't kind of buck their ideas up and catch up. Anyway, just my thoughts, wondering what you thought. So thanks very much, and I shall see you soon.
Thanks, Andy, for dropping that bomb right in the middle of the show. Okay.
I was waiting for the da-da-da sound effect at the end of that.
It's such an interesting question, though, isn't it? Because, we've been experiencing Apple Intelligence, and as I've been saying plenty of times, it's not up to scratch at the moment. Am I willing to wait? Probably. Am I going to switch to Android? Would I switch to Android? It's funny because I've been saying before, I've been playing with this Samsung S25, which I finally got back into. It's cool. Still haven't set it up, though. I've just not had time to reset it up. But I will do that. That's my weekend plans. I spent so much time on it the first time, kind of finessing things, and now I had to scrap it all, basically, and go back to the beginning. So kind of less interest in doing it the second time. Not again. Got to go and download all these apps. But You know, playing around with it, you know, you do think to yourself, they're so close now, and they are almost identical in so many ways.
Wait. So close?
I think they are, yeah. I mean, look,
What do you mean so close? What are they missing?
Oh, I see. Right. Well, I mean, I think the keyboard is one area that I find it challenging on an Android phone, more challenging than I do on an iPhone. I think there's more of a lag on an Android keyboard. It depends on the device, and that's the problem with Android. You can't really speak universally about these things because one experience could be very different to the other.
I say,
yes,
I love the number row.
Yeah, that's true.
On the Android keyboards. I mean, why don't we have the number row above the QWERTY? Why not on iOS?
I think they need to bring in split tap. That would be a big game changer for me.
I agree.
It is available, I think, on certain keyboards. So you can use split tap on certain keyboards. Again, it depends, I think, on Google or Samsung or whatever one you've got. You can maybe use split tap on a keyboard, but not across the device. Now, you think, well, hang on, if it's available on a keyboard, why can't you just implement it across the board? So I'm hoping that's something they will do. But that would be a big, certainly a game changer for me. I don't know enough about the customization, but there's a lot of customization when it comes to shortcuts and gestures. Like, for example, I don't know the answer to this, but, if you could, once you're in an edit field, can you do a 2-finger double tap, like a magic tap, and start dictation? I don't know if you can, but if you could, I'd be well into that.
Yeah, but isn't that just how we've been trained using our current phones?
Yeah, basically, could you just make it like an iPhone?
Make it an iPhone is what you're saying. I mean,
I do think there needs to be a bit more uniformity with accessibility, because actually that would democratize the choice. If you then know how to use one, and yeah, there has been, but I think it would kind of democratize the choice, because then it's a case of, right, I know how to use an iPhone, so I can then pick up any smartphone and use it. You know what I mean? So you kind of have that knowledge.
I totally know
base.
what you mean. Yeah, it's not like we have a different physical keyboard for each different make of computer or laptop, right? It's still the standard
exactly.
QWERTY
That's right,
keyboard.
QWERTY keyboard. That's a brilliant example of it.
We should have the same when it comes to accessibility and gestures. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But who's to say which one is better? We are, born and bred in the iOS camp, so we think that's the way to go. But Android users may think differently. But anyway, it feels like we're going off on a bit of a tangent. I think this is a question that a lot of people are going to be asking themselves, especially when we see, Google Gemini being across the board as the main assistant on Android phones.
And it being good as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? As soon as we get that killer functionality, that killer app, and it's going to be AI that does something that we say, now that's something I want to use. Is it going to be enough of a draw to pull you out of the Apple ecosystem?
Do you know the funny thing about Apple?
It could be.
I remember the days when I was Apple, when nobody was Apple, right? No one had an Apple computer. It was a bit of a niche club. We were all very snobby about it. I'm an Apple, and everyone else wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Everyone would complain about it. And it crashed all the time, and it was generally terrible. It never worked with Windows stuff. You couldn't use Windows. You could open up like Microsoft Word files because the floppy disks didn't work. And, but it was like it was like country music, right? It's very niche, very unique. And if you liked it, and you were in your little club, and that was nice. And then everybody started getting into Apple with iPhone, and suddenly it wasn't so much an exclusive club anymore. And I think in the blind community. And I think I would certainly say this is true in countries like the US and Canada and the UK. I wouldn't say this is perhaps the same in Africa and India. But I would say that in the countries like the US and the UK and Canada, the Android people are now very much like the way I was with my iPhone, or actually my Mac back in the day, which was in a bit of a minority, right? And compared to the number of people who are out there with iPhones who are blind. So I think just looking at the blind community, in America, in Canada, in the UK, just taking that community there, the majority are going to be iPhone users. They just are. That's just fact. They are. Now, what those numbers are and the scales, we can always argue that. And of course, there's different stats out there which tell you, how many people versus, who's using one versus the other. But, and it's very different, of course, in Africa and India because of cost, right? So, and availability. So, different argument there. But I think ultimately, we're in a place now where people who would decide, if you were deciding today, which smartphone should I buy, based on if it was purely, okay, cost is not an issue, right? So it doesn't matter how much it costs. I can get any phone I want. What should I buy? I think, the great thing is you have a direct choice. It's not a case of anymore. It was like, well, really you should go to iPhone because that's kind of the one that's closest to the blind community. Android is kind of up and coming. It's getting there. It's still quite new.
Yeah.
It's not the case anymore. They are perfectly equipped, both of them, for anybody to start on. The question is switching, though. That's a different thing. Okay, so starting out, once you're on Team Android or Team Apple, whatever side you end up on, you go with it, right? You download the apps, you get used to potential ecosystems and integrations. And of course, like even companies like Samsung have got their own ecosystems going. They've got the Galaxy Watch, they've got their own earbuds, they've got their own ecosystem, they've got Galaxy Book, which integrates very well with it. So, you've got the full ecosystem there. So you could easily build your own ecosystem with Android. But when it comes to, I think about, the options that are there in front of you, you've got a lot of choice, and you've got good accessibility. So I think the switching part is the problem. Going back to that, right? The switching part is the problem because if I was to leave that tomorrow, if I was to leave iPhone behind, look, I'm a Mac user, right? So there's the first issue. The Mac and the iPhone are so tightly connected to each other. So, I could use WhatsApp, okay, and that would get around my issues. And that's a new thing. I don't know if you saw this on iOS. You can default your messaging app to be WhatsApp now, or you can use, it doesn't have to be FaceTime. Or messages, or messages for messages and WhatsApp for messages and FaceTime for calls. You can switch that to WhatsApp. So, that's pretty cool. So that's one solution, right? Because that was one of the things, you almost go through this tick list in your head, don't you? Well, hang on, I do all these things. So, and I was always looking for Google solutions to that. Remember Google Duo? I don't know if that's still a thing.
Yes.
That was like their version of FaceTime. That never really caught on, but WhatsApp is universal. So, there's lots of ways you can start to build out, and start to think to yourself, okay, I could see myself moving across because there are alternatives.
Switch, yeah.
The Mac integration doesn't really happen, but does it really? Would it really matter in that case? I don't know. If you'd WhatsApp,
you keep going on about how great it is when you want it to do something and it's so easy to do. So it does matter, but how often do you use it? Would you really miss it? It's hard to say. Like you say, how far are you buried in to a specific ecosystem? How much have you spent on apps is another thing. We do invest money into ecosystems as well, so it is difficult. I would say though, I think it's, I think a lot of people go through this, and I remember I switched to Android for nearly a year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I just got bored of the iPhone.
Yeah, that's right.
Switch over. And yes, it was difficult at first, but there are some positives, as there is with both of them. There's positives and negatives. So it's absolutely doable, absolutely accessible. And hey, the fantastic thing about Android is you got a choice of different handsets. They don't all look the same. You can get different handsets. And plus, you can just put your toe in. Look at the Pixel, is it the 9A? Look at the 9A. Look at the cheaper end. I mean, you can even go cheaper than that, obviously, and have a little paddle in Android and see how you get on.
The water's warm. Come on in. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it is absolutely a choice because you have to make a choice. It's not like computers, right? So I have a Mac, I have a laptop PC, and that's fine, and I can work in that environment. But I cannot imagine, weirdly, when it comes to phones, jumping between two different phones. So you do have to make a choice because ultimately, when you think about it, when it comes down to it, it's like it's your cell plan, right? You're not going to have two cell plans just for the sake of it.
No, that's true.
So you're going to pick one. So it has to be on one device. And so therefore you have to decide what that device is. But, really for Andy, the question is it time to switch because of what we're seeing with Apple Intelligence? I think if you want to dip your toe, that's fine. But I'd maybe hold on to that iPhone because I feel in the next couple of years, things will improve dramatically. But the question is, are you willing to wait that long? And is it better on the other side? The problem I have is every time I watch an event and when I saw what Google were showing off, when I even see what Microsoft were showing off with Copilot, I tend to think everyone's moving so fast and they're moving in such a different, about the same direction, arguably. They're all kind of bringing in the same features, but, their own nuances to it and their own integrations as well. I'll be totally honest. If Microsoft launched a new phone tomorrow, I'd kind of be all in on that. Because I think that would be the kind of best way to go, right? Because I think that's the thing that's kind of missing. It's like Google's missing a computer. I know they've got the Chromebook, but let's get serious. So no.
Wow.
I mean, come on. You're not going to change your life over for a Chromebook, are you? It's a great machine, great for education, great for people who are on the web only and maybe do a lot of stuff on the web. But for people using apps and stuff, need power. You're always going to go Windows or Mac, right? So if Google doesn't have the computer, Microsoft doesn't have the phone, and that's the issue. And
Apple has
everything. So
it's true. That's a valid point. Look, if we're just saying the sole reason is AI, should I switch over? Honestly, I don't think there is anything out there at the minute that goes, yes, I need to get it for that reason, that AI reason. But that could change in a couple of days or next week. I have no idea.
Or alternatively, you just fancy buying a new phone, go for it.
Yeah, enjoy yourself. Get it bought.
Yeah, just buy it.
That's the Stephen Scott way.
And if anyone asks, just say it was Shaun's idea. Right. Listen, if you want to get involved with the show, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it, when it comes to switching around? You think to yourself, it sounds like a great idea. And it's funny because the tools are certainly improving. Like when I opened up that Samsung phone the first time to reset it the other day, yesterday, it came up and said, okay, what do you want to, how do you want to set this up? And, it mentioned iPhone. So you clearly have got the tools to be able to say, okay, I'm going to analyze what my iPhone had and be able to go in and get those apps and get, I guess, a number of settings out of that.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. So certainly the transition is easier today than it was, say, maybe 10, 15 years ago when you were pretty much writing down all the apps you had, then trying to find them on the Google Play Store, which, again, that's got better because back in the day, that was a Wild West. It's no longer that way. And you also were looking for free options because you thought, I'm not buying it again.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
That's something I often felt. I often wished that Google and Apple could do some kind of deal if people did want to switch. I guess there's good reason why they don't, but that you could just essentially take your app with you. Like you bought the app, right? But
that could be abused, and there is development time in developing for different platforms. Well,
you're such an apologist for money, aren't you?
All right, sorry. Developers, the poor bedroom developers. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, those ones that need to eat. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
I always talk about them, don't I? Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get
views on
plenty of conversation on that.
I'm sure. Yeah, is it time to switch? Goodness me. Get in touch. Tell us. Right, Felix has been in touch.
Hello, Double Tappers. This is Felix. It's been a while since I've messaged in. Been a long while, actually. So, I've had a look at the AI thing inside WhatsApp. I pretty much interrogated it yesterday to find out exactly what it could and could not do. So from what I understand, it's basically what ChatGPT used to be. The ChatGPT 3.0 would have information up until December 2021. In this case, for the one for Meta, it has a knowledge base up to 2023, so it can't do anything that allows it to go online. So it's almost just a chat thing. Went round and round in circles yesterday testing this all out. It can do quite a bit, but as in it can talk to you and stuff like that, but if you want specific information, it won't be able to find it. So if I ask when did the Berlin Wall fall, it'll probably have that. But if I ask anything about the new tariff exchange, courtesy of Donald Trump's administration, and surprise, surprise, it wouldn't have that available to it, because obviously Donald Trump's tariffing would have happened within the last week or 2 weeks, and its cutoff date was December 2023. So that is a little bit unclear. I may have misunderstood how that worked, but hopefully that clears that up. The other thing I want to ask is Copilot. Now, Copilot does have some limitations. I found that when I was using it to apply for a job, I needed an email address for the company I was applying. It did find it, but it couldn't, although it stated that it potentially could help me send an email, it actually couldn't, and said it couldn't do it. It also gave me what I later found out was the wrong email address, even though I'd gone online and searched for it, which is nothing new. Also creating images. It's although it's good at doing so, you need to know exactly what you want almost from the get-go. Once you generate an image, it can't then edit it and change it, therefore adding or removing stuff from the original image that's been created. You almost have to ask it what you want from the get-go, or create a whole new image, and that's it. However, if you want it to describe what it's created, it can do that. So it does have some interesting limitations, but there are improvements. Now, regarding the hotkey to launch, so that is there a way of changing that? Because I sometimes use the context menu to close things, but I can't find anywhere on how to actually turn it off. So I'm stuck within, even when I'm DJing, there's a hotkey to match to return the track I'm playing back to its original BPM. So that is a problem. So, Copilot seems to be, even in there, causing problems. So if anyone can let me know how you change that back, that'd be great. Even if it's, because I prefer it the way when it was Windows C, because that's a combination I would never really use. But Alt space to work on my DJ software, or even the context menu, that'll be great. Anyway, this has been Felix from London, UK. See you later.
Thanks, Felix. Shaun, I'm going to throw that to you because can you change that?
No, sadly, you can't yet. Now, when I watched the Microsoft event, the 50-year event, I was quite excited because they kept saying things like, "Hey, Copilot," and then asking the question. And I was thinking, hey, is a wake word coming? Because it needs it desperately. But no, there is no wake word for Copilot. And you do have that shortcut. Now, the first time you start Copilot in Windows, it will say, do you want to use the keyboard shortcut Alt space? And you check that checkbox and carry on. And when you use it again and summon it with the Alt space, it says, are you sure you want to use this? I have no idea why. You say, yes, I keep using it. And that's it. And then it's set. There is no way to change it to anything else. Absolutely ridiculous, Felix. I totally agree. Windows C was perfect.
Yeah.
That was the initial one when they were first demoing Copilot. And then they changed it to Teams Chat. And then it just disappeared. It makes total sense to make it Windows C to me. But sadly, you can't change it. Now, you can turn it off, though. If you open up Copilot, either using that shortcut or opening your start menu and typing Copilot, if you tab around until you hear full screen, make sure you're in full screen mode, and then tab around and you will find settings. Go into settings, tab around again. The navigation isn't great. And you will find the option for choosing the voice and also for turning off Alt space keyboard shortcut.
Okay. So, there's a way to turn it off at least.
Turn it off. There's no way to change it yet, and there's no wake word. I'm hoping that's going to change because it seems absolutely ridiculous, especially Alt space, which most people know brings up the Windows, the system menu. If you've got a window open for moving, closing, as Felix said, to close a window, you can do it there. I mean, why use that one?
I know,
it's so strange.
It's a very strange thing, a very strange keyboard command, if you ask me.
Going back to Meta AI in WhatsApp, have you been using that, Stephen?
No, I mean, I got it as a chat, but I don't use it because I want to use it with my glasses. I don't really want to be sitting chatting to a chatbot, not another one. I mean, I'm using ChatGPT. And, your point, Felix, about the brain and the knowledge, of course, going up to October 2023, seems to be the average. That seems to be the date where all this sort of knowledge ends. Now, if you're using ChatGPT, there's a button in the chatbot that you can actually press called search. And that button will essentially allow it to do a web search. It will have, its own information, but it will also be able to search the web and come up with sources with more up-to-date information. I don't think Meta AI's got that yet.
No. And it's funny in WhatsApp. I was swiping through my list of chats, the chats I've currently got ongoing, and every now and again it would say, Meta AI. And what's that? And I'd stop, and it would disappear. And I'd swipe back through the list, and it wasn't there. I couldn't figure out. Then lovely Tim Dixon sent me a WhatsApp and fixed it for me. The Meta AI is a floating bubble on the right-hand side of the screen on your list of chats. So from a voiceover point of view, I'm talking about iOS here, swiping through, it sort of hits it for a second and then disappears. It seems to
Which is why
off.
I've come across it, but then can't find it again.
But you can't find it again. Exactly right. So what you do is the search at the top of your list of chats in the search text field. If you tap on that and you just type a question, I tried it by just typing, what's the weather going to be like for this week? And hit enter, you'll see the very top one says Meta AI and it repeats your question. Double tap on that. And then in your list of chats, you will see Meta AI as an actual chat with your question in it.
That's what I ended up with. I managed to find the button, and that's what happened. It created a chat. And so that's what I haven't used it, to be honest. I just want to talk to it on the glasses. I kind of hoped that with WhatsApp I could use it, but then it's like using the Pickiebot thing that we've talked about before, or any of that. You're essentially having to ask, send a message to Meta AI asking me what time it is. It's like, why would I do that?
Well, I'm hoping. I've got absolutely no reason to ask it the weather. I've got 1,000 other AIs or devices to do that. I was hoping that it would be more specific and targeted to WhatsApp, so I could say, look through all my chats here, and who said this and gave me this link, and what time was that? I don't know if it does that yet. I haven't had time to play with it, but I got a sneaky feeling it doesn't do that. But who knows? We will find out.
Which begs the question: what's it for? Why is it in there?
It's AI. Everything's got to have AI.
Yeah, pointless AI. And of course, there's the other issue we talked about recently, Felix, the issue of trust, the information it gives you. It's funny because you're saying, with Copilot, it couldn't send the email, and then it gave you the wrong email address when you were looking for one. Then we're talking about creating images. Now, I am not using any of these image creation tools for one simple reason. I have no idea what that thing is generating, and I don't want to think of some horrific image that this thing creates by accident that I didn't mean to send. That could be open up all kinds of a hornet's nest. A hornet's nest, I say.
Yeah. You're going in blind.
What is a hornet anyway? Is that a bird or something?
That's a big wasp they have somewhere else.
A big wasp.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing worse than a nest full of them, I'll tell you that. Open that door.
Thank you, Felix.
Thank you, Felix. Let's go to Leander.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. Thanks once again for a wonderful show. It's Leander. Just thought I'd come in on a couple of things. Fantastic to hear that the Nintendo Switch is now being made accessible. It'd be interesting to see, like you said, Stephen, what the screen reader actually entails. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't just for the menus. I hope I'm wrong and it's for the games as well. But I bet they work in a slightly different way. Anyway, it'd be interesting to hear more on that when the time comes. And also, Shaun, I get Computer Active still on a Daisy CD. Absolutely love it. I get it on my weekly newsagent general edition. But now you've said Access IT is available on the newsagent. I wonder if that's available on a CD as well, or is that just online? I don't know whether you know. But yeah, I absolutely love Computer Active, and I'd be interested in knowing more about the Access IT magazine as well. Thanks once again for a brilliant show.
Thank you, Leander.
Thank you.
Appreciate your messages. And you do send a lot of messages, Leander. I appreciate that you do that. And we can't obviously play everything in that you send. I know Shaun does try to merge them together a little bit.
Yes.
Sometimes people will send them because I know, and I apologize. I realize that we give you an awful lot to talk about. I've heard people say that their show gets people talking. This show gets people emailing, talking,
sometimes
debating, shouting,
Yes.
talking about things on social media. I can only apologize, but I guess that's what a talk show does, doesn't it?
Yes, thank you. Computer Active, a UK-based fortnightly, that's every 2 weeks, magazine. I don't know if it's just nostalgia for me, because I just still remember picking it off the shelf and reading it. And maybe that's
what does it talk about? Is it still talking about like Pentium 3 is better than Pentium 4 or?
Well, no, I think it is up to date, Stephen Scott.
Oh, I see, right. It's not like it's still in the past. Because I would kind of like that, actually. I'd like to read some of those older editions of that, talking about the days when Pentium 4 came in and we're all like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, the new 3DFX graphics card.
Creative Labs sound card. Which one do you have? Actual sound card, like an actual card to put in your PC.
It's so nice. It's so nice. It is good. Access
IT. With the breakout box.
Here he goes.
Remember that? The breakout box you'd put in the front and the little slot where the CD writer goes.
Okay, very posh.
Serious stuff.
Access IT or Access It. I assume everything available. We're talking about the RNIB news
agents.
Sorry, I want to say stand every time. News agents,
equivalent of NFB Newsline in the States.
Exactly. So newspapers and magazines. I thought you could get all of those in multi-format, so you could get them audio or sent via a USB pen drive. I don't know. I'm not sure about Braille, actually.
Sorry,
I don't know if they've got that
facetious.
transcription service.
Sean just get very nervous there for a second. I could hear that in your voice.
No, well, I just really don't want to give away wrong information, because I've only just recently signed up to the news agents myself.
Listen, if you take this number, it's 0303. I remember this well because I used to work at RNIB, so I said this every single day of my life. 0303 123 9999. That is the RNIB helpline number in the UK. Give them a call. They will be able to answer all the questions on that and get you set up and subscribed for RNIB News Agent or the Talking Book service or whatever it might be. 0303 123 9999. Really good number, actually. Quite easy to remember.
Well done, sir. Look at that. There's a professional.
I remember a phone number. I don't know if that classes me as a professional or just the ability. I don't know. I feel like I've passed some kind of memory test and I move on now with my life.
Trust me.
Okay, let's move on to Mark in Montreal, who's got some comments.
Hey, Shaun and Stephen. Mark Bayarjean in Montreal. I hope you guys are well. I know the show is well because you guys are thriving and always in good spirits, and the show is wonderful.
Oh,
what can I say? You guys do a dynamite job. Couple of things. First of all, have you guys talked about or even heard about Jacket FM? It's a new voice chat app with texting options for some things. And the blind community seems to be embracing it in a similar way like they did Roger back in the day and perhaps Clubhouse during its first innovation. Or I think that if it hasn't gotten to that point, they could. They need to make it more sleek, though, because some of the things that you have to do to make things fly are a little bit wonky or not straightforward, I guess is what I mean. Otherwise, it's a good app, and I've run across some interesting people on here with interesting things to talk about. And it is very interesting to use, and it's a nice welcome addition to apps similar in the sense that Clubhouse and Roger used to be. As Paul Harvey would say, page 2, because it's a different topic altogether. One thing I notice is when you focus on something, such as
return dimmed,
the send
turn on
button.
view, turn send voice message.
There we go. Okay, so I know it's there. And as long as you do that with VoiceOver, once it's focused, and as long as you don't lose focus, you can send your message by tapping anywhere on the screen. I don't think many of us know this. I've had an iPhone since the first one with VoiceOver, and I'm up to the 16 Pro Max now with iOS 18.4. And it just goes to show you that we don't always know everything. And I'm still learning stuff about the iPhone and its capabilities and whatnot. So it always amazes me that, like, I didn't know it could do that. Also, because of my hearing issue, sometimes I'm in a situation where I go to answer a call, and you know how you have to take your ear away from the earpiece and for it to go on speaker? Well, I just went into touch and accessibility and changed my automatic routing to the speaker, which is fine. Now I get everything on the speaker the way I want. And when I have the hearing aids on, I get everything through the hearing aids, except when I answer a call, it goes through the speaker. But if I hit my Bluetooth button to answer a call on my Phonak Pro Com Pilot 2 hearing aids, it automatically transfers to the hearing aids from the Bluetooth box and takes it off the speaker.
That's cool.
So that is the workaround for that situation. So I get the best of both worlds. And I like that, and it's working well for me. Well, that's it from Montreal for today. I will say salut, bonjour. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I look forward to more podcasts down the road. And keep up the good work, gentlemen.
Salut and bonjour.
Fromage, Pantaloon. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
Bonjour.
That was really nice.
Good day. How is your family? That was the, do you remember Beauty and the Beast? No?
No, not at all. Anyway, that was so strange.
You must know that. That was classic. The beer, was it Be My Guest? No, it wasn't Be My Guest.
Don't disrail us, please.
Disrail?
Okay.
How does that work?
Right, stop it. Derail. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Okay, the second half of the message there. Let's stop. Yes, I am. Before Jacket FM. So the second half there was on a totally different topic, as Mark said. But the point he was making is perfectly valid and absolutely true. I'm finding out how to do things and new things, and I didn't know that. And who knew moments all the time, even after using the iPhone for as long as I have. But what he was pointing out there was that you have voice over focus on an element, and you can, double tap to activate that element anywhere. It doesn't have to be where your finger was, or if you did touch to explore.
Yeah,
absolutely true. And the routing for speakerphone or coming out of the earpiece, yeah, that is very handy. I used it as going straight to speakerphone for a while, actually. And I think it depends. If you do a magic tap on the phone itself when a call's coming in, it will automatically route it to the phone. If you're wearing a headset or earbuds and you answer it with the button on those, it will automatically route the telephone call to those. I think that's how it usually works.
I didn't realize you could have it set to always come out of the speaker. Like I thought you always had to start with, because what I usually do is when I answer a call, I take the phone to my ear and then I take the phone away and then it comes out to speaker then.
I know. And then you do that thing where you're chasing it, putting it up to your ear, down to your, up to your ear.
Or and then voiceover's talking all over it, so you're trying to make sure you do a 3-finger double tap so that you can silence the speech. And...
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no, in as Mark said, in settings, in accessibility settings, you can go through and you can choose the routing between, I think it's earpiece, speaker, or automatic. So it chooses which is the default way.
I did not know that. The one that got me was, someone told me this ages ago, but it still gets me today because it's such a weird gesture in a way. It's like a backwards N you do on the screen. So like you start at the right side of the screen and kind of scrub, as they call it. So you just do that like a backwards N shape on the screen, and that is like an escape or a back option. Yeah. So it's like a back button. And it's funny, actually, every time I'm using the Android, I use that gesture. And it, of course, it doesn't do anything on the Android, right? But instead, and the one I do love, and it sticks in my mind every time, is arrow down from the right side and then left, and that is back on Android. And that's been around forever.
I still can't remember that.
I learned all them back in the day, so that's stuck in my head.
Yeah, but I always get confused between going back or going directly to the home screen, which I think is up and to the left.
That's maybe. Right, yes, I think you're
right.
And
I used to get them wrong all the time. It's like, oh no, now I've got to find the app switcher. Which way is that? Is that to the right and down? I think there's
up and then right, and that brings up the top back menu as well, which is kind of cool, actually. That's quite cool. Again, these are the little nuances of each.
But that has changed.
System.
Yeah, it has changed now with the multi-finger.
Yeah, I don't think they're as popular now. I kind of fear that they may disappear at some point, those angled gestures.
Mm-hmm.
If it was replaced by split tap, I'm all in.
Oh, stop it. Jacket FM, a new audio chatty app.
Oh, not again. I can't be bothered with this. Here we go again. No. This is terrible.
No, come on, my blind brothers and sisters, let's go.
No, I can't be bothered because you know what's going to happen. All right, that's it. Mastodon's dead. We're all going to here now, so all the blind communities to trot off. Here we go again. We're all somewhere else.
It's different.
We went through all this with Clubhouse. I'm not going through it again.
I never got to grips with Clubhouse. I found it really complicated. Yet there's so many people out there say, I love Clubhouse. It's so easy. But as Mark, I think, did Mark say Clubhouse it's become more accessible?
It has.
Recently.
But I think most people are kind of fed up with
I'm out of it
Clubhouse,
now. Yeah, sorry. They did me dirty.
They
I
did.
believe
They
the
did
youth
us all dirty.
would say. So I'm out of there. Zello was great in the day. That's how we all met.
Yeah.
A good few years ago. So I'm all up for another one. Jacket FM. Let's check that out.
Here we go again. Another app.
Okay.
I don't mind the app. It's just what I can't be
It's
bothered
the
with.
people. Is that what you're saying?
No. It's when you get there's certain people out there who just love to think that somehow this is the place for blind people. Blind Island. Just create an app called Blind Island and we'll all just move there because that would honestly be easier. Because this is the problem. Suddenly it's like, okay, we'll all just abandon Mastodon and suddenly we've all got to go and learn a new thing.
Saying that? What are you
That's what happened. Listen, that happened on It happened on Twitter. Then it happened to Clubhouse. Let's all go to Clubhouse. Then it was
totally different.
Screw Clubhouse. Let's all go to Mastodon.
Totally different.
Next thing it'll be let's all go to Jacket FM. Ridiculous name.
Okay, very good. But we'll check it out. Thank you, Mark.
Thomas.
Wow.
We'll go finally to Thomas because he is picking up on what a negative Julian was talking about with the apps, the Android apps.
Hi, this is Tom in Colorado. I'm responding to a message from Dave in Elmira, Ontario. He was talking about wayfinding apps that might be available on iOS or Android that were akin to the capabilities found in the Stellar Trek device. Specifically, he wanted to be able to do custom route definition or breadcrumbing and open field navigation. And I will address it with respect to Android. And what I've found are the following apps. One is DotWalker. Another is the GoodMaps Outdoor version, the Seeing Assistant Move app, the Candle app, and Walker's Guide. Of these, the best one that I've found so far is DotWalker. Unfortunately, the app is not actively supported, and it really has very minimal documentation. I put a lot of effort into trying to figure it out and sort of made it work. Unfortunately, the act of breadcrumbing is not very easy, and it's not as simple as just dropping a crumb, but that's too bad. Let's see, GoodMaps Outdoor. It's not quite ready for prime time, in my opinion. It fails as soon as you lose any type of internet connection when it comes to trying to define a route and drop breadcrumbs. And for a GPS app, it really shouldn't be that tethered to having to have internet connection. It should just be requiring a GPS. So that didn't turn out very useful. Seeing Assistant Move. I don't speak Polish, so I had a really hard time trying to get through the minimal documentation that it has. It has some documentation in English for iOS, and unfortunately the iOS app and the Android app are quite different, so any kind of documentation was quite limited. They also had a user interface that was not very friendly to me. I required dark mode, and it didn't really have that very well. Next app, Candle, is kind of a work in progress. It's one of those GitHub-based things, and looks like it's promising. I know we say that a lot, has potential, but I haven't been able to get into it enough. It too has very little, if no, documentation. And then there's Walker's Guide, which is yet to be determined for me. I haven't had the time to look into it. It does have a user's guide, and I hope to give it a try. But if anybody else gets around to it, I'd appreciate a report. Anyway, that's it for now. Hope it's helpful.
That's very helpful, Tom.
Wow, that'll keep David busy.
I'll keep me busy. I've got apps to download now. I'm listening back to that message saying, okay, I want to download all these apps and try them.
Don't get lost. Okay.
I'm not leaving the house. I'm breadcrumb my way from the kitchen to the freezer. There, how about that?
Very good.
My freezer's not my kitchen, just in case you're wondering.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know why it's not the freezer. Why is it? Anyway, it's really a conversation I should probably have with my wife and not with you. But anyway, we're almost out of time. Thank you, as always, for your feedback. Really appreciate it. We will get back into more feedback tomorrow. I feel good about getting through these emails because there's a load here we want to get through.
Yes.
And you've got so many interesting topics. I mean, I realize every time we do these shows, I often think to myself, all we're doing is stoking up the fire for the next inbox.
But that's the whole point. That's what we want. We want this feedback.
Absolutely.
This is the whole reason we're here. This is fantastic.
I love it. I love it. And I love you all for sending it in. You're smart people, much smarter than me, certainly smarter than him.
Yes.
And Shaun, do take it easy getting back into the house.
I know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I need breadcrumbs.
Fall.
I'll try my best.
Can you get an Android phone between now and then and maybe get some of those apps downloaded?
You'll have to send it directly to the shed.
Okay, fine. We'll send in provisions. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Catch you then. Thanks, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.